Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I'm going to be doing a first impressions video for a game called Fate of Venterra. So this is a game by Corrosive Games, which consists of Zachary Kuntz and Nathan Ball. This is the first game in their lineup, and it's hitting Kickstarter on September 17th. Now, this is a 4X game where you're taking control of one of 5 different factions, and you're vying for control of this land, fighting other players. Now, each of these factions has asymmetric abilities. So you're gonna be fighting other players, building up your cities, your build, and making yourself stronger. So let me show you how the game works, and then we're gonna go into my initial impressions, what I think about it after a few plays, and if this game is right for you. Okay, let's head right over. Okay, so I have a 2-player game set up here for Fate of Venterra. Now, don't look at this as a how to play. I just want to show off how the mechanisms work. Again, setup would normally not look like this, but I just want to show off the tokens as well. As you have the ships here, you have a scout, knight, warrior, and the siege token. Now the gold player starts with this as a building. Most of the other players will start as with a fortress, and the brown player has an elder priest, which does a different thing as well, but it is a movable building. So you have these different factions here. You have the brown, you have the blue, the gray, and the red. And they all have these asymmetric abilities as shown here. So this is the gold player's asymmetric ability. This is their starting building. And this is a power that they have. Again, it's going to differentiate with each faction. And then we have this card here, which shows the attack and defense of all your factions. Now, the game is going to start with 4 of these cards here. And you're going to have a hero card and a treaty card also in your hand. At the start of every phase, you have the income phase. So for every building that you have out, you're going to collect that much money for each building that is out. So as you see, now the gold player, they already have this building out and this building technically out. So with that, we're only going to start with 2 coins at the start of this game. So, and then you add this one, so 4 coins at the start of the game. Now, the first phase, now you're going to have the declare phase after the income phase. So what you're going to do is you're going to secretly choose 2 of these cards, and simultaneously you're going to put them down and then reveal them all at the same time. So let's just go over what each one does. The first one is going to be reinforced. So you're going to recruit 1 unit to any building that you control. So that would be my building here, and again, any of the buildings that I have out. And the price of the buildings will be on top, but we'll go over those later. So you can recruit 1 unit, and again, it could be a soldier, ship, scout, siege, or a knight. And again, you would have to pay for them. And the price of these warriors are at the top left of their icon here. So then after that, you can upgrade one of your buildings, and then you can build one. So we don't have any buildings out right now, so we would not be able to upgrade, but then we could also build them. So these will be the upgrades, and these are the buildings themselves. So we have outposts, and we have shrines. So the cost to build a building, it will be at the top left. So let's say I put my outpost out. I'm going to put it right here. So at the start of the next income phase, it's going to give me 1 coin and 2 victory points. And then also it's going to show you these are movement symbols here. So that's how the reinforce works. Now you have charge, which is march any number of units into a single territory and march 1 support unit. Now support units will be like siege tokens, will be or ships, or my building right here. So what happens here is you can march them from anywhere, and they will go onto 1 area like that. So that's how the charge action would work. I think I lost my warrior over here somewhere. Okay, man, how do you get over there? So another thing they can do then is buy a leader or hero, or get 2 coins instead. Again, the money will be right here. You have denominations of 1 and 3. So now your hero cards are going to be off to the side here. They're not going to be in your hand. You have to buy them to put them in your hand, and they can be used when in combat. So at the top left is going to be how much they cost. So that's what the charge action does. Then you have maneuver. So maneuver is select 1 location, and you can move march your warriors anywhere you want. Now you see these little symbols here. Now anytime you march anybody in the symbol, you have to beat that defense. So this is 0 defense. So he would automatically win, and I would automatically here get a quest card. Now the quest cards are right here. I'll go over all of these later. So that's how the maneuver works. The next thing you can do is buy a upgrade here. So these are the upgrades. You have 2, 3, and 2. Now the bottom shows what upgrade you're gonna get if you purchase it. So you just flip it over. So for example, now my scouts gain an additional defense. And now again, every faction is gonna have different upgrades as well. And then of course, the last thing you can also do is recruit 1 unit. So you can either buy an upgrade or recruit a unit. So like I stated before, that's how much it would cost to buy this upgrade. And then the last one you have here is plan, which is reserve up to 2 quests, which are right here. You would choose 2 from here or from the pile here as well. And then you choose any one you want and then put them right here on, excuse me, that's actually for your completed quests. You put them right here on the side. And this, so for example, this would mean you would have to acquire a desert area, build this this upgrade for your building, and then the reward will be the victory points and a god card. Again, I'll go over what a god card does later. So this is what are the quest cards. You can have multiple of these as you want. Again, these will be end game victory points anytime you see that flag. Okay, so let's go over the little things here now. So like I have this building out here. As I upgrade them, I can add things like this forge here. So you put it on top, which is really cool. Now what's interesting about forge is that this just made my unit stronger, but at the income phase, I gotta pay a coin for having that out. It also gives me an extra defense and 4 victory points at the end of the game. So now my units have been upgraded to Brute, Longship, Ranger, Golem, and Paladin, and they get a little bit stronger, as you can see. So when you go over your cards here, the first command is going to be the first card you play, and then the second command is going to be the second card you play, and you're going to be going around clockwise, doing the first command, and then again same thing, second command. And then you're going to complete your quest cards if you have any completed or are able to complete any. So here's an interesting part, the large army. So what that means is when you have more than 3 people in an area, you have to feed them, and they're gonna cost 1 coin for each person that you have in there. Now, if you look at the sides here, this shows you what each is worth. So a soldier costs 1, a ship is 1, scouts 1, but now if you have a siege token, that's gonna count as 2. So if you have this and this here, that is going to be 3. So you would have to pay for these. This would cost you 1 coin. If I had this guy here, that would cost me 2 coins during the large army phase. And then the last thing is bidding. So what bidding does is on the 2nd, 4th, and 5th rounds, we're going to bid for these things here. So depending on how much money we have, we're going to hold our hand out, and then we're going to secretly bid for these things here. So the first player who wins can choose to have to go up on 2 on this track or the attack track, get 2 coins, gain a quest card, gain a power of the god card, or you can reinforce for free at that moment. And of course, you'll also be fighting for the first player to go first as well. Now, I didn't go over the power of the gods cards. Now, these are certain cards that you can use in combat or during combat, or even to help you, give you special abilities for a turn. And like I said, sometimes they can be played anytime. Some of them will say use them in battle, and these can actually be pretty powerful. These are really good cards to have in your arsenal. So let's go over how a battle works. So let's just say, for example, I have my scout here, I have my warrior, and I have my knight, and we're going to go fight right over here with these guys right here. So they have a scout and they have a warrior over here. So that automatically is 2 combat and 2 defense. Now, I stated before, I have these cards right here. So depending on how many I have, I can actually play one face down, but I don't have to play that card. I can bluff and play one of my action cards here, or even a card like this. So you don't have to use these cards if you want. Now, what these cards do is they're going to add the combat or defense to it, and of course, they will have these special abilities here. So depending on who wins, if the attacker wins by 1 or more, then the attacker leaves their units on the territory and takes control of it. And then the defender is going to lose 1 unit and retreat all units to an empty, unexplored area. Of course, now if the defender wins, the attacker is going to lose a unit and then retreat their remaining units to a friendly, unexplored, or empty adjacent territory. But the defender does not get to move. So combat is very, very clean, very simple. So now also you have these little power areas right here. So those are going to be in the expansion, but there's certain factions that actually get points for being on here. Now, one thing I didn't go over are these desert symbols here. So you cannot build a building on your desert. So what that quest card stated before was you want to take control. You won't have control when you have at least 1 person on this area. Now in the middle here, this is going to be a pretty powerful spot. In the game, when the game comes out, I believe this is going to be elevated a bit, so it's going to look a lot different. But also when you control areas here, so you can go up on this track, or you can get money for controlling that area. Now, let's go over this track right here. This is going to be big. So what happens here, every time you initiate a battle, you're going up on this track, and those are going to be your victory points at the end of the game. And of course, as the more you move up, the more little gifts you get. So you got a coin here, you got a Power of the Gods card, and a coin here. You could get a knight. Over here, you get to move 3 units. So as you go up, it gets even better. So over here, anytime you get to move up, you will just get a certain amount of coins. Over here is when you build or upgrade your buildings. Each time you do any of these actions, you're going to go up on this as well. So this is, as you can see, it's a very Euro-y style game. Now I wanted to go over some other things over here. Your shrines, as you can see, they do other things as well. Of course, by building them, they give you some victory points. Again, every single faction is going to be a little bit different. Their buildings will do different things. I know there were certain buildings that will give a defense when you have warriors next to them and stuff. When you have warriors that are on a mountain range, the mountain is actually going to add a little bit more defense to it. Now, this card right here is going to show you what victory points you are going to get at the end of the game for having units on each of these areas. So a water area is going to give you 3, forest 3, desert 5, but of course it shows that you cannot construct in the desert area. And of course the mountain adds that +1 defense and 5 victory points, and then the power totem is going to give you 1 at the end of the game. So the last thing I wanted to go over are the ships. So water in this game is connected, but what else the water does is it allows your units to cross over into that area. So it kind of acts as a bridge, but this unit could always move here. So all the water hexes are connected on the game. So that's a neat little thing that happens when you have a ship. But that's essentially the game. It's as you can see, it's actually a very easy game to explain. It's not that complicated at all. So let's go over what I think about it. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is this is the most accessible Forex game that I have ever played. The rulebook was very well done. It was a very easy teach. Nobody had a hard time understanding or learning this game. There's no crazy iconography that you got to memorize or keep looking in the rulebook for. Everything on your board is very straightforward. It details everything there. Another thing I want to say is this game was great at all player counts, including 2. There's not many Forex games out there that play well at 2, and this does a very good job at it. I do think 5-player is the way to play because you have every single faction out, and this is a conflict-heavy game, which is what I'm going to go into next. I love conflict. I love area control. I love fighting and having that high player interaction. This game has it all. It incentivizes you to fight other players because of that battle track. Every time you initiate a battle, you're going up on that track, getting victory points for it. So even if you lose, you're still going up on that track just for starting it. I'm not saying you should go out there and just lose, because you want to control those different areas at the end of the game. You're gonna get victory points for that. Building all your different buildings, you're making yourself stronger. This is a true classic 4X game. And another thing too is the components. This is a prototype, but the buildings, everything looked awesome. Yes, the warriors and everything, they're wooden meeples, but they still look good. Where the game shines in terms of components are those buildings. They looked amazing. So this is gonna have a nice table presence to it. Another thing I want to say is the replayability is, again, very high because of those asymmetrical abilities of the factions. They're all going to play a little bit different. Some are very combat heavy, some are economic heavy. But at the end of the day, both of them, whatever faction you play, you're still going to have to go out there and fight. It is an important part of the game. I did feel that some factions were overpowered, but the developers are going to fix it. I spoke with them. They're working on balancing everything out. So again, it wasn't that big of a deal. Even better that it is being fixed. The theme wasn't very strong. I didn't really feel anything thematically, but still, I didn't care. I had an awesome time playing this game. Also, this for a 4X game, this is a pretty fast game. I mean, I'm not saying you could get a 5-player game done in about maybe 3 hours. Don't quote me on it, but I got a 4-player game done in about 2 hours, 45 minutes. A 2-player game can be done in about maybe 90, depending on who you're playing with, if they have AP or not. But if everybody knows what they're doing, you can get this game done at high player count, at 5, about 3 hours, maybe less. I got my 4-player game done in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So for a 4X game, that was quick. And you know what? It still packed the punch. Everything that I expected out of a 4X game, it was here. And it did so in a streamlined way. It does have that Euro-y feel because of the track. And it's very point salad, but that's not a bad thing. I like that it was incentivizing when you were building, incentivizing when you were attacking. It did feel you still had that 4X experience, even though it did have some Euro elements to it and that point salad element. I still felt I was playing a 4X game. So yeah, I highly recommend you guys check this game out. It's hitting Kickstarter on September 17th. I'm going to leave a link to the Kickstarter in the comment in the description section. If you guys have any questions about this game, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I always answer back. Again, this is not a review. It's just a first impressions because things can change. The balancing issue is they're going to work on it. It wasn't a big deal. And again, I don't like giving scores to prototypes. But if this was a regular game, if this wasn't a prototype, it would have been receiving a pretty high score, probably my seal of merit. But yeah, I really enjoy this game, and I think people of the 4X genre are going to enjoy too, because of how accessible it is and how easy it is to learn and teach. It's not going to be an all-day game like most 4X games are. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it, and of course, that table presence is also a big plus. But so yeah, that is Fate of Venterra. Please like and subscribe. Help this little channel grow. And yeah, check this game out on Kickstarter, September 17th. Have a great one, guys.